Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today. This is Taliesin McKnight. And today I just wanted to make a quick video. I didn't end up making the video that I had planned yet. But there's a topic of interest that I wanted to discuss. The symbol of the lion has been on my mind quite a bit. And the lion is the cherub of fire. Astrologically, it is the symbol of fire. It is fixed fire. And it is Leo, which the sun is exalted in Leo. So symbols can mean all kinds of things. It really depends sometimes, just upon how we look at them. You know, the Bible, whether we be pagan or atheists or Buddhists, the Bible has had a big impact upon much of the world. Its mythology and its stories, its symbols. And it's interesting that both God and Satan come under the image of the lion. Satan is a roaring lion. The serpent also was exalted upon the cross by Moses. There's a lot that we can say about these symbols. But one way that I would like to talk about it here is that the lion represents the will. We talk of God as a roaring lion or Christ, or we talk about Satan as a roaring lion waiting to devour us. What if mankind is a roaring lion? What if there's a roaring lion within each of us waiting to break free? Break free. Was that a Freudian slip? Break free. Our will. It is our will. It is our passion. It is that raw energy that drives us. It is an explosive energy that drives us forward. And the card associated often with Leo and the lion is in traditional old decks the strength card. It shows a maiden either holding the mouth of the lion shut and restraining it, or she might be opening the mouth of the lion. Now in esoteric tarot, there are people and traditions that associate Leo with the Kundalini force, for example. Paul Foster Case does this. And of course, the Hebrew letter Tet, associated with Leo, also means serpent. So we're right back with lion serpent, because Tet means serpent associated with Leo the lion serpent. The lion serpent, most people seem to associate with the demiurge, Yaldabaoth, from the Gnostic texts. And yet it is also Ion from the Mithraic Mysteries. And it is also Canubis that was used for healing. Many of the things that we think of as bad, it's really all about perspective. And that kind of has to do with duality. But the key is ultimately balance. We move our way in the world, and yet there's always some element of restriction. These could be seen as sulfur and mercury, fire and water. And it's interesting that in the Lust card, in the Thoth deck, she actually rides naked upon the lion. They unite. So instead of it being a chaste virginal figure, it becomes lust. joy and power exercised. The reins are still there, but it is still a directed force. There's just a unity, an okayness, a conjunction with that energy at a level that previously wasn't there. We have all these symbols to contemplate. There is something important that I wanted to discuss, and that's one reason that I don't like doing these videos like this, because sometimes I forget something very important. You know, if we think of will as an arrow is a good symbol of the will, and it is phallic, but the arrow, which pierces and shape of it, but the arrow is also directed force, because you aim at a target. You're directing, when you shoot an arrow, you're focused on a very specific spot. You aim when you shoot an arrow. An arrow is movement and directed force, and it goes in this direction, let's say. When you have all these different whims and desires and goals and things that you think that you want and things that society wants you to want and things that you're supposed to want, and in your mind you have your friends in your ear suggesting what you should want, and when we don't even really understand ourselves, then our arrows are going to go in all these different directions and we get nowhere. The key is to get all of our arrows in one direction, and that only comes by self-knowledge. People talk about self-knowledge all the time in the occult community. You hear a million times, it's the words written at the Temple of Delphi, know thyself. People can wrap their head around that, yeah, that's important, in a book, but how many of us actually do it? It takes self-examination. Self-examination, I think, is the most important thing. And I think for a lot of people, it actually would be good to see a therapist. It doesn't mean anything's wrong with you to go to therapy. Someone that you can talk to and talk about everything. It's not a coworker or someone that's going to judge you. You're able to work through this material and process it, to think back through our past and say, yeah, have these realizations and understandings. And understanding our own flaws and our own defects, things that we don't want to look at, so that we could fix them, or if it's not something that can be fixed or easily fixed, we learn to navigate and work around them. But we're not acting blindly. It requires vision. So I think one of the most important things is to have a self-examination, to understand who we are, to ask, what do I want? What do I want? And, I'm just sharing my own ideas. I'm just kind of sharing my spirituality and stuff. What the hell is that? Okay. Got rid of it. I'm outside. But, what was I going to say? Oh, that sucks. I think self-knowledge is important. I think it's the most important thing. And it's difficult. Oh, this is what I was going to say. I think the good first step is to break away from all the things that we don't want, that don't bring us happiness. It's very important. Whether it be job or relationship, and again, I'm not talking about myself, I'm very happy, but they're examples. Job, relationship, friends, location. If we're able to cut things off that are bringing us misery and intelligently replace them with where we're supposed to be, where we're happiest, when we are in a happier state, we are more able to create. When we don't have distractions, and within stillness and happiness and peace, we're able to build. And in this self-discovery, it is of the self, or the vessel, or the ego personality, it is. But before, this is a whole other topic. Are we ascending above the vessel, or are we to unite with the all? I think so, but I think first we need to realize who we are meant to be within this lifetime, within this incarnation. And that is the great work, is realizing our utmost potential, our utmost growth in this incarnation. And if reincarnation is real, which I believe in actually, then we attain ultimate liberation as well. We are entering, I think, into a new era of society, and it changes everything. I think that on the path or the journey to spiritual realization, we have to get rid of things like superstition and just ideas that probably don't have a whole lot of merit today, and there can be another understanding of things. Expansion in all directions, breaking free from those things that inhibit us. If you have a spouse, now everybody has relationship problems, right? Everybody has ups and downs, and people are imperfect. But if ultimately you're unfulfilled, I think you should get out. Every job has its bad times, but if the job itself makes you miserable, get out. And people will call you self-centered, people will call you names, because you're no longer bending your back to their will. You're now free. And the ultimate key is, that is not your proper place. The place where you're happy and fulfilled, that is the center of power. We may not know what we ultimately want, but a good first step is we know the things that we don't want. So, I don't think I'm any kind of sage or whatever. I don't think I can speak for any other person. Of course not. That would be absurd and wrong. But I like to share my perspective on things. And that's what these videos are about. But yeah, I think that will is important, and the lion for me is a symbol of will. The lion, that raw, fiery energy at our core. The sun is exalted in Leo. And we have to have balance, like we see in the strength card. We have Mercury, Virgo, Mercury and sulfur. We have fire and water. We have these two polarities. And so that energy isn't just run wild, burning everything down. That would just be chaotic. It's directed by intelligence. Placed another way, as Eliphas Levi says, there is the image of the virgin bruising the head of the serpent. And of course, that goes back to Eve and the serpent. But the force is not slain, but directed. And getting all of our arrows in one direction that is meaningful, that comes from self-knowledge, from knowing who we are at our core. Our action externally in the world, or our action is movement and activity that stems from our selfhood. The self is the noun. Our activity, the things we do and say, that is the verb. That is the noun of the self. So, when we're in harmony with ourselves, and our life is in harmony with ourselves, then, you know, we're able to more accomplish what we're trying to accomplish, more be who we're meant to be. And I think that the first great step is to, maybe we don't know what we ultimately want, but we know what we don't want, right? So anyways, I think a good thing is to first try to get rid of the things that make us unhappy. And that doesn't mean we don't struggle. That doesn't mean we give up because things are tough, when we should continue. But if ultimately the thing you really feel that it's not for your good, that you don't want to do this, you should never be forced to do things that you don't want to do. And by whom? By other people. Other people. So the Hegelian dialectic shows that there are different sides to each issue, to every issue. On the flip side, you know, we should be intelligent in what we do and think about things, and it doesn't mean that we don't ever do things because it makes someone else happy, but ultimately I think we have to, paradoxically, when we think of ourselves and our ultimate happiness and make that the beginning point, which is a natural point, a natural thing that humans are brought to do, then we find ourselves in our true place in the world where we can have true happiness in everything. So, yeah. So anyways, that's basically it. I'm just kind of sharing my thoughts, you know. We should break away from those things that bring us distress, you know. Yeah. And through knowing ourselves, find what makes us happy. And when we are in our true place in the world, doing what we're meant to do, what brings fulfillment, paradoxically, that is where we're best able to help the world and save the world. All these knots are unraveled. Free will and destiny. Because mankind comes out of nature, and following who we are at our core is fulfilling our purpose, what we're inclined to do. Free will and destiny unite, and all of these things that we think of as distinct selfishness versus helping others, all of these knots become unraveled when we think of it in this term. When we find our true happiness, our true place in the environment that we're meant to be, and the career that is fulfilling, and the love relationship that is fulfilling, and coming to know ourselves, we create something of beauty, something important to us, something that gives us meaning, a song sung from our soul. We are, the life we portray is like the playing of our instrument. It is the music, is the harmony of our own souls. And if everyone did that, if everyone played the note that they are meant to at their core, then the universe would be a beautiful symphony. There'd be a lot less discordance, perhaps. So, like I say, anything I say in these videos, I encourage people to take with a grain of salt. They're just my opinions, nothing more. But just sharing my ideas. I didn't end up doing that video that I was planning to tonight, but instead I I went ahead and just shared some of my thoughts with y'all. And I want y'all to know that I really appreciate y'all. And yeah, thank you very much. This is Symphony Ignite, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Alright, thank you so much, y'all.